Hello and welcome to the Northman. Today I am invading a game's designers. Yeah, the same designers behind Galaxy Defenders. Now I really like this game, I do. And the designers have recently come up with a new game in the same spiritual successor, you might say. Total different theme and a bit different gameplay as well. And that game has just a biggest box as the one. Sword Sorcery, Immortal Souls. Now, the reason why this video is going to be long is because I want to compare these two games and tell you precisely what this is about and go through some mechanics and some of the scenario setup. So if you are familiar with Galaxy Defenders, you will probably watch the whole video to understand the differences, because I'm going through in great detail here. And for you who don't know about Galaxy Defenders and don't really care that much about the mechanics of the game, you can skip through these sections here and see what's what is inside the box, what figures are. Just skip to what you want, and the conclusion is down here, you know. So I'm going to say some positive and negatives during the video, and I might skip those at the conclusion, but the conclusion has my final saying anyway. Let's just skip through this intro here and cue my awesome intro, Viking sword, shield, axes and stuff, and see you on the flip side. No? Yeah, only Rocker Sam, I know. Well, see you on the other side. I'm going to show you how to set up the first scenario. So step by step, I will show you all the pieces that are required for one scenario, and then I will teach you some of the rules, just a basic overview. So, first scenario of the 8th scenario campaign. So let us see what is inside this box here. You get a nice stack of tiles here, which are used for all the scenarios, and they are double-sided. So you get figures like this. This is the shaman, and he comes in 3 colors. We have blue, the red one, and the green one. And as you see, they have different postures. Like the green one has 2 different postures, one with a blank hand and something in his hand, and identical for the blue one. And the red one has something different in his hand. So they are all kind of the same posture in this example, but they have some different features about them. And here we have the orcs, and as you see again, we have blue, red and green. Green are the easy ones, well, the easiest ones, then the blue one, and then finally the red one, who is the boss of the group, so to say. And again, we have different postures here. We have this one with shield in his hand, and this one has no shield in his hand, but on its back instead. And the same goes for the red one. So they are different in postures, and that is quite cool, I think. So here we have the so-called swashbucklers, or buccaneers or something. And you see again we have green, red and blue. And the red one is quite different. He has a hat that makes all the difference. And actually in this group I think the green ones are the most annoying, because they have some special power which can really make you hurt if they have it already. And finally, among the monsters we have these gremlins. Yeah, almost like the movie, right? Again, blue, red and green. And these are quite nasty, because if they injure you, they will also steal a random coin from your pocket, and can be really nasty. And then we have the boss monsters. Now this one is really nasty. It's actually just a straight stick, but as you know, with some figures they can bend over time, or if they're not packaged well. I tried to get some glimmer here on the shells on the cape, and I think I managed quite well. And then we have this monster as well. Which one is the most scary, I think? And what is a dungeon crawl without heroes? And here we have the typical heroes. We have the magician, the cleric, the warrior, the ranger and the rogue. And they do just what you expect. Well, they have some different in this game from others, but they're more specific. But in general, they do the same as you would think. Also, the ranger here has a pet called Fenrir. And this pet can be summoned to help you or aid you. Now, if you were on Kickstarter, you would have received 2 copies of each heroes, because each hero has 2 versions of them, an evil one and a good one. And I would like to have 2 copies of each, because then I could have painted them to match the portrait. But I have the retail version, so I stick with one color. And, well, it works. You know that this is the guy, even though he's blue instead of black, so we'll manage. Again, I have the retail version, so I don't get an insert for the game. This one is from an expansion from the game, and I have this, what's it called, Plano box in English, I'm not sure, it's just cheap one. And I made an insert myself here using some foam core, which I also got from somewhere else. But it works nice for me. But you get a lot of cards, you see, so it's nice to have a system for them, because you're gonna use them a lot. And here are the hero sheets, and now you see the difference here. The warrior, the evil side versus the good side. It's very different. So I would have liked to have 2 copies of this figure, so I could paint it in to match this one better. But okay, I don't, so I just have to live with it. Also, the cardboard here is very thin, versus the Kickstarter would have thicker cardboard. The game comes, of course, with a rulebook. And as a rulebook, it is a heavy one. How many pages are there? Let's see. There are 55 pages of rules. And it is quite a daunting task. But luckily, we have a nice index here. And it is not alphabetical. So if you want to look up something, you better know what kind of part of the book it's in. Or otherwise, you just have to look for keywords. But the rules are quite daunting at first glance. But a lot of the context here, or contents, are examples like this one. This example, and you're left with only this. And the book is filled with examples, and I really enjoy having all those examples for clarity. But there are many rules here, and many icons, many symbols, many things to consume. But it is all logical. It's written in a good way, so it's easy to understand. But of course, I need to look up the rules now and then, because there are many small details. But it is a good rule book, and I learned all I need to know from this one. Then we have the storybook, and this one contains all the scenario info you'll need. But this one also contains rules, and that is something I find quite annoying, because I would think that the rule book had the rules and not the scenario book. Because there are sometimes I have a question, what happens here and there, what is this? And it's not written here anywhere. So I'm looking back and forth, can't find it, and then, it's here. Okay then. That is quite annoying. At least I could have duplicated this inside the rulebook. That would have been nice. Here is Act 1, Quest 1. And this is the setup. So let's go through that. But also note, down here we have some Book of Secret events, waypoints and events, and they're referring to some paragraphs. So we have the final book here, the Book of Secrets. And this contains the actual story and the events that happens in a game. And if you trigger something, we see here, story event 1, let's check out paragraph 1.1. We open the book, we read, and sometimes you need to make a choice. And the choice can be based on previous experiences, or if your heroes are good or chaotic. And I really like this book. It really brings the game to life, and you are immersed into the theme. And lastly, we have this quick handout here for reference. There's a lot, you see. I basically use it for these icons here, because sometimes I just forget what they do in detail, because it's different for the monsters and the heroes. And sometimes I look up here for the combat. You see, there's quite a lot going on in this game. So it's very nice to have. So we start reading the prologue and introduction. Now this introduction is real vague, and it makes maybe no sense for you, and that is kind of the point. You don't understand what's going on here. You just suddenly here as a group, and you're going to fight some bad guys. And then you can see the next line here is a standalone quest value. You can play this scenario as a standalone, just a one time, or as a scenario. Right now it doesn't matter, because both the scenario and the quest, or the campaign, have an equal start. Then we need to find the enemies. We need 2 green gremlins and 2 blue gremlins, and these are then shuffled together to form the enemy deck. So it's like only 4 enemies involved here. Then we need to find the event deck, this one. And the event deck tells you how to make the event deck. Easy. So we find number 8 and 11 as here, and we shuffle all those 2 cards. It seems kind of moot. Okay, put them there. Then we find 18 and here and put it on top. And then we find number 6 and 9, shuffle those, and then on top. And then we find 14 here, on top here. And lastly, number 5, which is on top here and active. And normally active events are on top of the deck here. And when they're gone, we go down here. But with night and day, that's a special rule, so we put them on the side here. Now this one has a special rule that will be written in the rulebook. And it says, during the night, each attack performed by the heroes causes -1 damage or hit. This token here, just grab it for all players and put it on the weapons, because you will forget this. It's a first time you play the game and already have a special rule in a game with tons of rules. So these tokens here are really useful to have. Use those. And then we just notes of special locations and some other special quest rules. And then we are ready to build the map. We set out the doors. We put out the waypoints, like this one for instance. We take waypoint 3 and 4 and we shuffle those around. And one of them goes here and the other one goes all the way up there. And then we have these resurrection shrines here. Then we shuffle all these spawn tokens here. And as you see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 monster tokens, 1 civilian, and a double monster token. We shuffle these and we put them out as decided by the scenario. In this scenario, there will be 1 token left over, and this could be a civilian, the double monster, or a single monster. We don't know, we're not supposed to look at it. And as you saw on the scenario map, there were 2 icons here for the spawn tokens, 2 here and 3 here, but I don't have all those tokens. Well, it says on the scenario 2+ and 4+. That means if you have 4 heroes or more, then we add the second token. The same goes for here, and the third one goes for here, but we're playing with 3 heroes in this scenario, or in this video. So here we have the list of the things we need. And then I got stuck, because here it says begin. Okay, we begin here. Then we have some SE1 and SE2. What does those mean? And I looked here and list tokens. You have this token, I have all these tokens here. I could not find those tokens. I thought that maybe I'm missing something. So I looked in the rules, couldn't find any reference to them. And then I found out it was event cards number 1 and 2. So story event 1 is going here, and story event 2 is going here. This was not mentioned in the rules, but in the scenario guide. It's really, really annoying. But okay, that's what you do. Then you find these tokens here, you shuffle them up and put them on the map. And the same with these tokens, you shuffle them up and put one on the map, just as indicated. Then you take these 2 spawn markers, flip one over and put it down here, and the other one you put over here. Then you and the other players get one of your hero sheets, or you might have already selected one. There is one limit though. Each hero has a chaotic and a good lawful side, and you cannot mix and have lawful and chaotic in the same group. This Legolas character here, he is neutral, so you can always be in the group, but you can't mix the other ones. So let's say I pick this one. This is called Icarus, and he is on the lawful side. So I find the matching wheel here, which is also 2-sided, but of course I choose this side here, the lawful one. I rotate the wheel so that the top one here says 1, it's soul rank 1, and when it levels up you just do this, rank 2, and so forth. Now this hero has 6 health, 1 combat action, 1 regular action, and 1 soul power. So we put the wheel down here. We can choose any soul power from the power deck of Icarus, but just make sure that you have enough soul rank to actually use the skill. Like this one has rank 1 and rank 4. This one starts with rank 2, so you cannot use this one. So just put it here, next on the right side of the board. And you're ready actually. Yeah, where are the items, the weapons and such? Well, you start out with nothing, in fact. And this could have been clearer in scenario 1, because all the rules, they point to weapon, to point to armor and such, but they don't mention specifically in this scenario that you start without weapons. So it's quite strange, and Yeah, quite unnecessary as well. We should just start with weapons anyway. So get your ready marker on the bottom here. You have two-sided, this is colored and non-colored. So colored means you are ready to act. Get the dice, get the enemy deck, get the enemy power deck, and finally you place your heroes in the starting area here, and you are ready to go. You can do 2 normal actions, and you can do 1 combat action in addition to that. So all heroes can also move, and it says on the bottom of their hero card here how many steps they can move. It also says how many items they can have in a backpack and which die result they need to roll for certain saving throws. So you have this already for your character. So Icarus, you can move 3 steps, and moving is very easy. Well, it should be easy. All terrain types here, you see, are divided by graphics. There are no lines or anything, just the graphical differences. It tells you that this is a line. Also, you have an X here, which indicates that this is an area, and this has a new X. Okay, so we have 2 different areas at least. So that will help us guide us to know what is an area or not, and where the line goes. But also, it will determine line of sight. So for instance, you can draw a line from center here to center here without crossing a solid border like this one. It's line of sight. So this one can see here. Even though the figure stands like this, it's measured from this point to this point. So what can you do? Well, you can move. So 1, and we stop, because here we have waypoint 1. And when you reach a waypoint or story event, you stop the action immediately, you pause it, and you read the rules of the storybook and see what happens. When it's resolved, you continue. So I will not spoil this one for you now. I'll just continue down here. Ta-da! And here we have an unlocked door, which means you can use a free action. And the free actions you can use as many as you want, doesn't cost you anything. And you can move and do the free action and open the door, for instance. But should I want to do that now? If I open the door, I will have to draw a trap card. And the trap says, unless save. So now we check the save icon here. So this character needs to roll on the blue die a star. He failed to do so. So each hero within 2 areas suffers 1 HP. So that's 2 areas from the door. That's 1 and 2. But these heroes will also have to roll save if they were, let's say it was here. He will roll save, and no matter the outcome, he will roll save. So if either of those fails, you have to face the consequences. So if you fail, you become KO'd, knocked out, and you lose 1 health point. Now the term knocked out seems a bit wrong in this game, because you're not knocked out cold, you're just knocked, well, off your feet, so knocked off maybe, and you can get up when you activate again. The only downside is when you're knocked down or knocked out is that you cannot use your armor value, and combat is coming later. But anyway, let's say we've saved, well, let's say we're just knocked out. Well, yes, so 1, 2, he has 1 more movement left, so just get up and go down here. But now we have an issue. We have line of sight here. It was not line of sight there because we go through this solid wall. So if he goes outside, we have to flip this token and see what happens. And it's a monster. So now we take from the top of the enemy deck and draw a monster card. This is a blue gremlin. And the active hero will take this card, and he will have responsibilities for activating this monster. And it is important to divide these creatures, because sometimes when after a hero has activated, an encounter will happen, and the encounter will say to activate this many creatures. And you start with the active hero and you activate his creatures, and then the next one, and you go from the active player and around the table. And this is made so that all players are always engaged in the game, but also to make sure you cannot decide the order of the monsters all the time, to go to your advantage. So this is why you do this. So this one has armor slash -1 damage. This means that if you attack with a slash weapon against him, he will reduce the damage by 1. And that is addition to the one that is happening at night. So a sword against this creature is already at -2 before you even roll the die. And that is actually very harsh. It's cruel, 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 cruel. This icon here indicates that the monster will chase the richest player within sight. And this indicates what type of monster it is. This is a dexterity type. And here is the health points. So if you reach 4 health or damage, it dies. And then here or here you have rewards. This is a soul stone which is used to level up. So if you kill this one, you receive a soul stone. And you want those soul stones to level up, of course. So this monster here will spawn a blue gremlin, and then we have one issue with the game. Well, an issue or not, it is one thing to consider. You have 2 blue creatures, and this card only means one of them. And you see here on top you have 2 icons, 2 BB. So that means that it's one type. So in the beginning I just said, okay, the 2 dots are the one with the rock in hand, and the 1 dot is with no rocks. So you can see the other hero, or the other monster here. Here he has only 1 dot, as you see. But I have painted mine and have 2 dots on the ground here, and 1 dot on this one on both sides, so it's easy to distinguish the enemies while in playing the game. That is one small issue I have with the figures, that it doesn't come with stickers or anything to differentiate the 2s from the 1s, as they had in the expansions for Galaxy Defenders from the same company. But anyway, we spawn the creature, it's the 2 dots, we spawn him here, remove the token and add this card. But also, it has an icon here, it means enemy power. We draw from an enemy power deck at random, and we see Act 1 and Act 2, so we do Act 1 and put him here. So now this creature or monster has a special power. All main attacks inflict fire 2, and if he rolls a goblin symbol, an extra damage. That's very hard. So we have a lot of different enemy power here, as you see, so it can really make a difference in the game. But it also adds a variety to known villains or known monsters, and I really like that one. So now Icarus player has this monster to think of. So he moved 1, 2, 3. Now he has 1 regular action left, so he could do that to dash and go up here. However, this will trigger a new line of sight. Not sure. Well, from here you can see a new enemy down the road. And if we have to just flip that one and do the same. So let's just say it didn't happen. Now he can attack. So he has 1 combat attack. So he takes his weapons, but let us say he had the broadsword, and as armor he had this studded leather. You see, both are from the stash, and they can be upgraded, forged to be stronger. The stash weapons are the ones that you get access to first. Now the armor is only for defense, so we just put that on the arbor space. Here we have a weapon. It says main weapon. We have this one, which indicates it has to be used as the main weapon. And we have this one, which can be used either as a main weapon or offhand weapon. And the shield, for instance, is only for offhand. And then we have short bow. This icon here means it uses both hands to have. So you cannot have this and a shield, for instance. And that makes sense anyway. So we have this broadsword. It has 2 red dice. 2 red dice. And we just roll those. Also, you can use a regular action to focus, and this is very, very important, and it's something we did not use in the beginning because we forgot the action. If he had a regular action left, he could have used focus, like so, and put 1 extra hit on the attack. That is maximum 1 per round. But now he used the action to dash in here, so he cannot do that. Now it's just the die roll. Let's see. Okay, we have lightning, this kind of special power. And each power can only be triggered once per card. So 1 lightning could either be to reroll 1 hit die, which is one of those, or an extra damage. Extra damage sounds nice. So we have 1, oh sorry, this is a hit, that's a hit. The star has the same as a lightning, but nothing on this card. So 1, 2 and 3 damage. And of course they all have a -1 because of the night phase, that's 2 damage. And the gremlins, as indicated here, has no defense dice. So he takes 2 damage. That's quite easy. 2 out of 4. And then the hero turn is over and we draw an encountered card from this encounter deck. This is drawn from after every hero's turn as long as there is at least one enemy present on the map. So we flip it over, so we activate 2 enemies. Starting with this player, we activate his enemies if he has 2. Otherwise we activate the 1 and then proceed on towards around the table. Now there's only 1 enemy on the map, so we try to fulfill this as best as we can, so we could at least do part of it. Otherwise spawn 2 enemies. But we could activate 1 enemy, so we fulfilled the top requirement here. So we activate this one. And this one has special rules to follow, as indicated on this card here. It's a blue gremlin. This applies for both the gremlins with 1 and 2 dots. Here is the list of things we need to see. Starting from top here, we will go after the most richest. Okay, so in range 0, that is the same space. If there are multiple targets the richest one. But there's only 1 target here, so it's easy. We stop here. Attack with claws. If there were no one in range 0, we go to the next level, which is range 1, 2 and 3. And that is only what he can see. Right now he cannot see these heroes here, so they don't count anyway. So 1, 2, 3. This one is closer, well, it might be richest, but he cannot see him, so we ignore that one. And 4, cannot see anything else. And then lastly, it's a default thing to do, even without line of sight. But right now, you can see at range 0, attack with claws. We'll look down here, claws, 2 dice, and it will also ignore 1 armor value. That is not so good. 2 dice, this is a miss, this is a hit. This one can trigger special events as normal as the other ones, but right now it's just a hit here. It ignores 1 armor value. Now the armor value is dependent on the equipment that the hero has. For instance, this one has 1 armor, so we could have soaked that damage, but we ignore that one because of the hit, or the attack. Otherwise he has 2 blue dice to roll. So he can spend up 1 blue for each hit that went through, up to 2. So in this case only 1. He got a shield, and that means he ignored the attack. Well, it missed it. That's good. Also, if you got lightnings here, you could use 1 lightning to add a shield as well. So this is a very nice attack for the heroes because it missed. So yeah, that is Sword and Sorcery. It's been a while since I went walkthrough like that, but in this game I felt it kind of necessary because there are so many things going on in this game. It seems a bit overwhelming to begin with all these details in the rules, and sometimes I really agree, it is overwhelming, and sometimes it's really unnecessary as well. You know, just the combat. For defense, you have the blue dice, you have the armor value, you have the shield value, and you have the magic shield value. So that's 4 things that actually do the same thing. In the attack, you have hits, and that's it, which you can boost with lethal. And lethal works against 1 or more of these. Which one? Well, you find out soon. And knocked out will cancel 1 of these. Was it 2? Nice. So there's so many things to consider while doing combat. And combat can really soak a lot of the time when playing this game, especially when you don't feel comfortable with all the rules. So you have so many things to consider. You have the slash here, which says it's weak against slash, even though it might seem it's strong against slash, or it does less damage against slash. I just guess it could have been written a bit better. I don't know. It works, I know, but it feels a bit more complicated than it should be. I can't explain why. Then you have the knocked out, and you have the majority of the area, and you have special abilities. So before you go into attack, you're going to count, okay, I have bonus for this, and this, and this, and that, and that, oh, and this, and the dice. Okay, you roll, and then, oh, okay, so 2 lightning, I can activate this and that. How many was it again? Okay, that. And it's you do this all the time because there's so many things going on at the same time. There's so many bonuses. So I have to think of Descent, for instance. Descent, you have armor on the dice, and you have attack on the other dice, and you have a thing called pierce. And the word pierce means, you know, penetrate the shields, not lethal. And each pierce will cancel one of the shields. And that's it. That is the whole thing in Descent. And here you have 4 things for defense and 2 things for attack, maybe 3, you have a critical as well. And you have to do this in order. So it's an easy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 step program for doing this. Okay, so that rant out of the way. The combat is a bit too long. And that is also the reason why the game will take so long. One act, not one act, but one scenario quest in this game with 4 players can really last 4 hours easily. Well, not easily, but up to 4 hours, I guess, depending on how much discussion you want to do in the group. But a lot of the time is counting hits and misses and remembering this and remembering that and doing things in the correct order and stuff. It is a bit tedious, but overall, I really, really love this game. It is an awesome game. I really like Galaxy Defenders as well. Galaxy Defenders is using the same system with the dice, with some tweaks here and there. But the Galaxy Defenders is a lot more tactical and a lot more punishing for doing mistakes. Here you have a bit more leeway, and it feels like a completely different game in total. It's tactical, of course, so compared to Descent, this one is more tactical than Descent, even though you have the dice. There's so many decisions to do, and the Book of Stories really adds to the immersion of the game, where you stop the action. Well, the battery died on camera, so I had to reshoot. Anyway, as I said, I really love this game, and it came out on Kickstarter a while back. And this is one of the games that I really, really want to get on Kickstarter, in hindsight, you know. So I'm really envious of those who have the full package. Now, I have a little over 20 miniatures in my game, and I don't see how more figures are added to the game. But I guess it's for Act 2 or something, which hasn't come out yet. I just wonder how it's actually implemented, because each scenario specifically says use this orc here with 2 dots or 1 dot. And if you're going to switch those out, I'm not sure. It kind of worked in Galaxy Defenders, where you could just switch out the alien races with more powerful alien races, but that was kind of a hard difficulty. Maybe it's the same here, I don't know. But with the figures I have here, compared to Descent, there's a lot going on here. In Descent, I want more and more and more monsters, because it's easy to figure out how they work. They do this, they do that. Easy. Here, they have a whole list of things that will influence how they work in a scenario. So this is one thing. And then you have the enemy power, which is another thing. And the color of these also has a meaning on how they act in the scenario. So there are so many elements in this game that really they use little components to do a whole lot of things. Well, in the miniatures department anyway, well, the components we have enough of. But I really enjoy that, even though there are so limited amount of monsters, it's really fun to play against those, because you need to learn how they work. You need to analyze how they're going to act based on the situations and how things may act out. I really like that about this game, that I use so much with so little. And when you meet a green orc and then you meet a blue orc, you know it's going to be a whole different story to tell. And that is amazing how they did that with so little. Also, they used the AI system from Galaxy Defenders. So yeah, you can play a full co-op game against these creatures here, and they will always act somewhat difficult. But yeah, I really like that. So having more monsters just for the sake of monsters, I don't think that is necessary. But of course, if you're playing Act 2, it might be a whole different story. Maybe they're going to add a ton of monsters. So maybe you can just switch the monsters based on new rules that the monsters come with. I don't know. But I also missed out on these. I have those. Hold on. I have those as well. Well, from Essen now, they sold these plastic doors and plastic chests, so of course I had to grab them. And also I grabbed more dice, because it is barely enough to go around as it is. We have to send the dice from each player to each player all the time, based on if you're the hero attacking or the monster controlling hero who is attacking. And yeah, there is a bit component limitation. Also, I had this bag for drawing the critical hits token from, but now I have this one. It's so much better, you know? It's the same, it's a bag. But anyway, I have the official stuff now. I didn't get the coins because the coins are okay, I guess. Maybe I should have gotten the coins, but the cardboard is okay. And the coins are limited in the game. So the first playthrough I had of this, we ran out of coins, and then we couldn't get any more coins. It's so easy to get coins. So the first time I played with some mistakes, so the game was a bit too easy, I figure out. And now it's harder, yeah. But there's also kind of a shift in the player count. If you have 3 heroes, certain things might happen. If you have 4 heroes, then a ton more difficult stuff will happen based on that 1 hero difference. I don't know how they balance that out, really, because 3 and 4 is a total different story based on difficulty. I think 3 is kind of the sweet spot, because most of the effect says if you're more than 3, not 3 or more, but more than 3, then worse stuff will happen. So 3 is kind of the sweet spot in this game for an easy session. And 5 heroes, I haven't tried that yet. I guess it's going to take a whole lot longer to play the game, because you have 5 steps to go through and 5 encounter cards to draw each round. So things will, well, it will take longer. No problem with that. Oh no, I don't doubt that. But this game is truly a good game to play. You really get immersed in the story, and the storybook really has great writing to it, even though it has these obvious, I would call it, references to pop culture, like, well, we have this pirate here called Jack. Captain Jack! Get the reference? Was it too subtle to you? How about this? I am Groot! Too subtle? Yeah, there are plenty of those references. Just they're kind of smack hitting you in the face with these references, or I don't know. Well, it is fun. It is kind of a cringe kind of fun, you know, that's that obvious and they use it that much. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to the next reference they're going to bring forth, because it's so obvious and they're just pushing it out on you. Well, I have a ton of fun with this game, so I have no problems recommending it. Keep in mind though that a session here will take many hours to play, again depending on how much discussion you're going to do in your group and how fast you're going to grasp the combat system. Because once you grasp the combat system, it really doesn't take that long, because you have to count and how does it work again, look at the rules, oh yeah, that's how it is, the order is like this. And then suddenly you add a new feature called the magic shield, and oh, okay, now how does that work? And yeah. Overall, amazing game. I love it. I want to play more. I want to get the expansions, the Act 2 when it comes out. I want to get everything for this game, and yeah, it's a good, awesome experience. So this one is a definite recommendation from me. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this a bit too long video, I guess, because this time I just want to help you get into the game. And as always, you can check out my Patreon account at patreon.com/talkrust to see how you can support me and also affect which games I'm going to review in the future. So coming up now in English, it is Zolkin, the Mayan calendar, I think. Yeah, I think that is one. Also, a ton of games from Essen, so that's a lot to look forward to. Okay, and have fun gaming as always. See ya.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.